Hey everyone, I'm Gigas and today I would like to help you onboard the Sandbox Game Maker. I think it's the best no-code tool out there. Combined with the box edit voxel 3D program and the easy-to-use NFT sandbox marketplace, you get a perfect triangle-shaped platform to fulfill your inner artistic and business goals. At least that's how I see it. So let's begin. In front of you is the main interface. It's sleek, minimal, and easy to understand. Section 1 features tools like select, rotate, draw, duplicate, replace, and preset creation. Click on the replace icon. When you select an asset in the game, its name appears here. So this is useful if you want to change an asset but keep its existing logic. The replace asset tool makes this easy. Now, preset creation is another crucial tool. It saves assets with complex logic as presets. Section 2 includes objectives, player, gameplay, debug, and guidelines. Objectives? Simple. They set up in-game quests. More about that later. Player lets you adjust avatar settings like adding items to your avatar at the start of the game. For example, create a butterfly wings in Vox Edit, upload them to the marketplace, and then equip it in player settings. And this is where all players start with those butterfly wings on your land. It will also apply to other players if it's a multiplayer experience. So gameplay section, it applies main game rules. Now inside it, there's start screen, which setups the welcome screen and names your experience whatever way you want. And then game rules, it creates global and local rules for your experience. So it's a game-changing feature in GameMaker 0.9. It allows for complex mechanics like displaying HUD information on your interface like time, age, gold, mana, damage, many things. And it helps to create very complex math operations inside your game. Now, camera adjusts in-game camera views, including isometric, top-down, side view, and first or third-person perspectives. Lastly, ambience controls global weather, day or night settings, and background audio. GameMaker offers even more lighting options, but that we'll explore later. We have debug. Apply debug checkmarks to find out if your collisions have unrealistic boundaries. Also check rules logger to see if there are any missing things in the way. And we have guidelines here. Click and learn more about the game performance regulation suggestions in the website. Now, section 3. This quick access menu manages your assets. You can add or remove voxel assets and use shortcuts or drag and drop mouse for easy asset placement on the map. It features groups for organization. For example, dedicate one group to blocks, another to NPCs, third for logic, and so on. So for creating assets themselves, you of course use Vox Edit or buy them with sand tokens on the Sandbox Marketplace. Now, section 4, this section is where the magic happens. Click on any game object to see its details in the side menu. So it includes its name, attributes, physics, behaviors, components, and tags. It might seem overwhelming, but you'll get comfortable after this video. Focus mainly on behaviors and components. I'll quickly cover most of them using an older version video, so don't worry if the interface looks different. This will give you a good idea of the possibilities. What can behaviors and components bring to you? Then we'll return to explore more behaviors and components in 0.9 version. Let's go. 3 main sections to know: behaviors, components, and tags. These let you do message-based programming instead of writing raw code. Behaviors. There are 2 types, single player and multiplayer. Choose multiplayer behaviors for multiplayer games, single player for single player. Multiplayer behaviors also work in single player, but usually not the other way around. These Wi-Fi-like icons show performance impact. Blue and green are light, orange and red are heavy load. Behaviors like citizens, farmers, warriors, predators, and prey are programmed characters. For an enemy, just add warrior or predator behavior to your land map and it will automatically target and attack you, unless you desire something else. With animated behaviors, you can sequence animations on the same asset and trigger new animations when the previous end. So you can send out messages after one or other animation starts or ends. The asker behavior lets assets converse with you and offers up to 4 options, useful for creating shops or control interfaces, like in this game. Asset Spawner can generate any assets you want when you trigger it with a message. In this case, my interaction triggers and spawns an asset. Message Broadcaster. It allows you to broadcast a message from any asset in a specific range as many times as you want. Void destroys or alters blocks and assets in specified zones, useful for tasks like water regulation or map route alterations. Its counterpart, Multi, creates blocks when it's triggered. Timed events allow customizable timers for tasks like closing gates or triggering quests. Timer is internal and not visible on the screen. Visual Effects offers a variety of effects to enhance environment views. Actor Property controls assets' visibility and collision. That could help optimize game performance, hide or reveal specific assets when needed. It's very capable. Post-processing effects apply visual effects on player's screen. Here are some examples. Planned behavior. It auto-destroys itself when it receives a specified message. For example, you can make animals eat grass when they approach it. Healer behavior. Heals objects or subjects in a set area, useful for players with low health. For example, healer and plant behaviors can be combined to create complex game scenarios. For instance, you could design a game where plants have healing properties. When a player or NPC destroys these plants or picks them up, the healer behavior could trigger to heal a character. Replace asset swaps one asset for another either after a certain delay or upon receiving a message. Crowd event initiates multiplayer events with customizable goals, targets, and rewards. Door behavior animates doors to open and close. Light enhances scene lighting, very easy to use. Weather Switcher allows in-game weather customization. Basic Platform creates moving platforms, useful for parkour games. If you can only have one behavior on one asset at a time, you can have multiple components on the same asset as well. Let's review some handy components. Climbable enables climbing on assets. Collectible allows item collection. Defeat triggers game over for incorrect player actions like picking the wrong item or hitting spikes. Victory triggers player win condition based on right choices. For example, you can send a message to Victory component to end the game in Victory anytime you want. Drop causes assets to drop items such as when defeating an enemy. Health adds health properties to assets, making them vulnerable. Currently applicable in single player. NFT image display showcase NFT art directly from the blockchain. Indicator displays custom names over assets. Pickable component lets you grab and move assets with your avatar. Speaker sends or displays messages when a player or item is detected. Although it's called speaker, its real primary function is to detect avatars, NPCs, or anything and send a message to trigger something new to happen. Very handy, very useful component. Toggle behavior turns behaviors on or off. For example, halting a moving platform. The toggle behavior component can be integrated with behaviors to create more complex and dynamic game interactions. For example, you could combine it with the moving platform behavior to create platforms that players can control, turning them on or off with a switch or a specific action. Now that you're familiar with speakers and behaviors, let's discuss tags. Tags allow you to send or receive messages when a specific tag is detected. For example, you can trigger a dialogue with speaker detection. Let's add an NPC with asker behavior on it, type message required to NPC01 and mark it with a tag of NPC. Now place logic asset, add a speaker component on it, leave detection type to avatar, so when it detects our avatar, it will send a message. Let's make sure it sends it to our NPC. Broadcast message, and the message is NPC01. Tag required, NPC. Let's see. Okay, great, it works. Now that you're aware of components and behaviors, let's check out something else. Now, section 5, and here you'll find grid system function. Click grid to adjust grid size and opacity. This feature lets you customize the grid's visibility. Gizmo controls transposition actions, offering global and local options. It changes how assets move, either in straight lines or diagonally. You can set the number of steps an asset moves and adjust its fixed rotation angle, like this. Or you can just hold Shift on your keyboard to ignore these settings. Another feature is hierarchy. All your game objects are listed. Anything you place on the map appears on hierarchy. You can drag and drop to set parent-child relationship between assets. For instance, to make a stone the parent of a tree, drag the tree onto the stone. Moving the stone will then move the tree. Okay, you get it? So moving the parent will move the child. Okay, we've covered the key basics. Now let's upgrade. Now that you're acquainted with components and behaviors, let's look at the latest features in GameMaker 09. A standout feature, I think, is Advanced Platform. Instead of just moving platforms back and forth in one direction, you can adjust their movement angle in X, Y, Z axis as you like. You can make your platform go in squares and diagonals and rotate. It's amazing. So you can add multiple destinations by clicking Add Point Plus. Each destination represents a journey from point A to B, with each new destination starting where the previous one ended. There are two platform modes, linear and circular. In linear mode, the platform returns at the same speed it moved forward. Circular mode lets you adjust the return speed differently from the forward speed, like moving forward at speed 5 and returning at speed 9, so the speed varies. Let's explore a component called switch. So this bad boy can listen for two messages at once, and when A or B message arrives, it can send out two messages to two different objects depending if the state is set to A or B. I'll give you an example. There's a chest. You can choose to unlock it or break it. If you unlock it, chest will send message A and switch component will trigger a new message that gives you 5 gold, for example. If you break it, death message will arrive at B message and send out a message that spawns skeletons that try to kill you. Now, one that I like is NFT sensor. It verifies if players have equipped or only specific NFT in their inventory. Think about it. With this feature, you can create full games and only allow demo access to non-NFT holders just by simply adding a door that can be opened only by the NFT holder. Really cool Web3 feature. There's new avatar teleportation. Place any asset for a portal and place another asset as a spawning point. Link it in spawning point section and keep message required to interact. Checkpoint component works in a similar way. Set up your messages. Once activated, expect it to send your avatar right where you activated last time after it died. Trigger volume. So trigger volume sends messages when you enter and leave an area. Very handy too. Now there's power up component. So this component can give your avatar a short boost of attack, power, damage resistance, oxygen, health, and speed. If you leave acquire method to collisions, all you have to do is walk on it and enjoy that nice boost. Okay, I think we've covered most of all components and assets. Let's learn how we can quickly set up a quest. Go to Objectives, Enable Quest. Right here you can choose to name your quest. In description field, enter a description you desire. It will be visible on your player's interface once activated. Always keep auto unlock to unlock quests, unless you want to force players to do something before they can even start the quest. Now launch quest is where you need to figure out which message is going to launch it. For example, if you speak to NPC, send a message after you finish dialogue. That message can easily launch your quest. There are 4 quest types: counter, asset death, timer, wait for message. Counter is useful for collectible quests. Asset death could be related to boss fight. Its death sends a message to complete this quest. Timer is time-based quest. You have X amount of time to accomplish something. And the last, wait for message, simply waits for message to complete the quest. So if our quest type is counter, we can count collected objects and name their tags. Remember, each asset can be tagged, so if you want to collect 5 skulls, those skulls must have a corresponding tag. Here you can decide how many skulls you'll have to pick. Quest completion can be either auto-completion, that means it will act according to your quest rules, or you can add a message. Action after completion can be set to send message, nothing, and end game. Alright, so that's how you can create quests quickly. Now let's focus on GameRules visual scripting tool. Let's open gameplay and go to GameRules. We can already see a script board opening up. On the left we have presets, rules, and variables. The presets are ready-to-use combination of rules to be used by the creator in their game experience. Okay? Presets are ready-to-use combination of rules. They have predefined variables and messages by default and will be displayed as rule sets in the grid board once they have been added. I'm sure this doesn't say anything to you, but bear with me. In the rules section, you can create a new rule set by opening one of the sections and selecting desired rule. When clicking on the top bar of the rule set, you'll receive 3 options: rename, duplicate, and delete. Once a rule is added, all fields that are mandatory for the rule to become active will be red. Now, let's move to variables. It's the backbone of the game rules. Almost every rule can or has to work in combination with a variable. They can be used to store information like scores or text. Timers can be used to trigger delayed events. Boolean variables offer a new way to build more complex logical systems. There are 2 major types of parameters: global and local. Global variables will be synchronized for every player in the experience, so when you set up a score in multiplayer experience, you might want for every player to have the same score. Local variables are not synchronized and can be different for every player in a multiplayer experience. Okay, so that's a brief overview of each category. Now, let's embark on a building journey. We will build your first game loop, not just any loop, but we will create 1. Income generation mechanism. 2. Set up a merchant shop. Create a mining stone or experience, and all of them will align together. Okay, step 1. Place a logic asset. Add a message broadcaster. So, message is straightforward. Each behavior and component requires a message to be activated or deactivated. There are many ways how you can send and receive messages, and messages broadcaster is a simple way to send out message anywhere. Now, where it gets a little more interesting is in messages with arguments. That's the newest addition in GameMaker 09. Let's type in income in message to send window and click on income with arguments. This is where you can add an argument to your message. You can add time, true false statement, and number arguments. Where it says enter argument name, type income. So now look what happens. A new line for argument has appeared under the message income. Yellow indicates argument messages. Now whenever message broadcaster sends message income, it will also send a number 10 to anywhere you need. Set broadcast type to rules. We want this income message to be sent to our game rules window, okay? We want it to be sent to rules, not elsewhere on the map. There are 3 duration types. Once, duration, forever. Once means this message will be sent once. Duration means you can set up timer for how long it should be broadcasted. For example, once every 5 seconds for 10 minutes straight, and then forever means continuous pulse. Leave it at forever and set delay between broadcasts to 1. This means we will be sending income message with argument of 10 every second. Once we start to play, this message broadcaster is like boom, 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 and it's sending income plus 10, income plus 10. Now, our duty is to catch that message and use it. Therefore, open game rules, go to rules, math, add subtract number. Now you see a new rule on your board. Message required must be income. It should show up as yellow. It means that it's reading the argument. Now let's create number variable. Call it money. Keep it at global. Leave value at 0. Activate HUD display. I'll choose display on left, and on the bottom, type how you want this variable displayed on our screen. I wrote simply money. Value change is set to message argument automatically if you use message with an argument. It picks up your argument income. Basically, this rule listens to your income argument. We set it to 10, right? So whenever this rule receives income message, it will now display plus 10 income on your screen because of that argument, just like that. Does it make sense now? You can always edit income argument on your message broadcaster. You could, of course, use regular message and then select here fixed value, but then you wouldn't have so much creative freedom as you expand with your messages and gameplay. So I suggest you repeat this process until you actually feel like you understand what is happening here. First step is done. We have generative income. Step 2, set up a merchant shop. Go to presets, load shop. To keep our board neat, let's drag our income rule on top of shop to align it nicely. Now we have plenty of things and we might feel confused, but don't worry, let's deconstruct this one by one. We have two rule blocks. They're both from rules comparisons. One is set up for item purchase success and other is for fail. This rule is simply comparing values, checks if you have enough money. In the number variable to compare, you can see value of money is added. Condition for success must be set to greater equals. So if the value is greater or equals the value you set up down below, it will pass through a message which is shop item 1 purchased. So for example, a katana costs 100 money, so I keep fixed value of 100. And on the fail section, all we have to do is change condition to lower. So if you have less than 100 money, it will send shop purchase failed message. On success, shop item 1 purchased goes to math rule, where it subtracts minus 100 money from your money variable. Get it? If you have 100 money, your comparison rule sends out shop item 1 purchased, and that triggers minus 100 value from your variable. You can edit numbers as you like. And last is displaying a warning if player doesn't have enough money. That's where game screen rules come in handy. It's triggered by shop purchased failed message. You can set up your title and description for any specific error. And if you're wondering what's going on, so once this rule compares if you have less than 100, it will send shop purchased failed message, and that message goes to pop-up window. Now we need an object in-game that will act as our merchant. Place one NPC, add asker behavior, name and price your items accordingly. I've added two more rules, items, so I have three names. Katana, hammer, shield, and there's the fourth one, which I'll explain later. So make sure your texted prices matches your rule values. Now on the bottom, make sure that your messages align well with your rule messages to trigger a sale. We need to add shop item 1, shop item 2, shop item 3. When we interact with this merchant and choose an answer during our conversation, it will trigger one of those messages according to our choice. That message will travel to GameRule and start its magic. And you can notice that each shop GameRule is waiting for shop item 1, shop item 2, shop item messages. Now for fourth option, I've chosen to be able to sell stone ore, which we will set up right now. Place normal rock around the map. Choose stone rock or asset. Make it a collectible. And create collect message with an argument. I chose collect01 message and made it an integer number. Argument name is amount. Now you can duplicate this rock and adjust its argument. That way you can adjust each rock's drop amount. For example, I made 3 rock ores. with arguments of 1, 3, and 5. Now select each rock or separately and create 3 presets, like this. Go to normal rock and add a drop component on all of them. Choose preset and pick rock ore as a preset. Make sure to pick different rocks with different arguments for each rock. So when you mine this rock, it will drop either 1, 3, or 5 rock ore. Select all rocks and add health component. Otherwise, we won't be able to kill it or to mine it. Let's test and see if it drops rocks. Good, it does. Now go to GameRules, Math, add subtract number. Our main message will be collect 0, 1. And now create a new number variable and call it OR. Keep it at global. Show on the AUD, left side, and pick any display name you want. I went with stone ore. Now add this OR variable in variables section. Now if you damage stones, they will drop stone, and upon pickup, it will display and count your total ores. So the last part is to sell it to your merchant. I've added a 4th line on our NPC asker. This is what it says. You can sell 10 ore. So we need to keep this number in our head. Go to gameplay. In rules section, choose comparisons. Choose compare numbers. You're already kind of familiar with this rule. We're using it on our shop rules preset. In message field, add sell item 1. Pick ore as your variable. Condition greater equals, and value should be fixed. Set it to 10 because we want to sell 10 at the time. Now, if value is greater or equal 10, this rule will send a message, item sold 1. Add math rule, add subtract number, type in item sold 1. Choose money as your variable and pick fixed value. Now decide how much money player receives for selling 10 ore to the merchant. I chose 5. We need to set up a rule to track if you have enough ore. So let's duplicate our comparison folder, type sell item 1, pick ore as your variable, and in conditions add lower instead of greater equal. This rule compares if your ore is lower than 10. If yes, it will trigger a not enough 1 message. So basically, if you don't have enough ore, it will trigger a message. Now add a pop-up window. Go to rules, game screen, pop-up window, type in not enough 1. Now choose your titles and description accordingly. So whenever you don't have enough ore and you try to sell it, it will pop up a window message saying that you don't have enough ore. Make sure that when we sell stone ore, it actually disappears. So otherwise we could be selling the same ore for millions of money over and over again. You can see that I added add subtract math rule. For message I chose remove ore 1. I added ore as a variable and set fixed value to -10. Now go to your NPC merchant, see option 4. Voila! Well, that's it folks. If you have any questions, always DM me on X. I'll be more than happy to help. It was me, Geekis. See you on the next one. Let's dive deep together.